Are we live? Let me just check that we are live. It does appear so. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody, to another day in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox. Your brew master in chief is at it again. I've been spending the whole day on this website, Google, the time now in UTC. When this becomes 1500 hours, so in exactly 1 hour from now, the set will drop on Arena. So amped. So because of that, I would like to just brew up some quick sort of theory crafty brews. And they're really just version ones. I think they're the gonna be the most prominent tribes in Innistrad, on Innistrad. So I thought each one of these tribes deserved a quick brew, just a V1, a starting point. Of course, not having played any of these yet, it'll be hard to tell whether I've done an absolute horrible job, whether I've hit the nail on the head. I'm almost certainly have not. That's just the way it is. You throw together some stuff, especially when you haven't got them in the client, on either hub, and see what sticks. And that's what I've done. And now they're just there and ready and waiting. And for those of you who know, you can go to my either hub account and grab them. As soon as the new set drops, you can just craft the cards and start playing straight away. I would love to hear in the comments down below how you would have done these. What have I missed? It's so much harder for me to build decks when I'm referring to a website on another tab where the set is laid out in color. I'm already so used to the deck builder in the client that I feel like a fish out of water when I'm brewing outside of that environment. And so not to give myself too many excuses, but it is tough without getting to play the cards. So we're going to start with zombies, and I'm going to work my way to the right. We've got zombies, vampires, and werewolves in this quick little video. And zombies is the first one because it's the first one that I got excited about and that I want to play as soon as I get the cards for it. So with zombies, also this layout on either hub is a little bit confusing to me. I kind of prefer it like this, if I may. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. With the mana cost. So we're starting off with 4 copies of Champion of the Perished, of course. Like, this is the card that made me want to build this deck in the first place. Okay, and it's the only 1-drop though, and this is where I'm starting to question already. Am I doing things wrong? Are we going to need removal in this deck? Are we going to need counter spells? Should I just play this as an aggro deck and just load it full to the rafters with only zombies? I'm not entirely sure. So for the moment, I've only got 1-drop in Champion of the Perished, and then the other 1-drops are just 2 copies of Bloodchief's Thirst for summon removal and 2 copies of Crawl from the Cellar, which says that you can return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So I have a feeling that Champion of the Perished is going to be removal bait. As soon as people see this on the battlefield, they're going to freak out and get rid of it because they're worried it's going to grow too much. So for that reason, you can go fetch it back from the graveyard to your hand with Crawl from the Cellar, and you get to put a +1/+1 counter on another zombie that's perhaps left behind. You do the play that I would like to do is Champion of the Perished turn 1, turn 2 Blade Stitch Scab or Tainted Adversary, and already by doing that, your Champion of the Perished will have grown. So now, and you've got 2 threats on the field. Now your opponent needs to decide: am I going to get rid of the Blade Stitch Scab, or am I going to get rid of the Champion of the Perished? Probably they're going to go for the Champion of the Perished with their targeted removal because it's the only one of those 2 that can grow. The following turn 3, if you don't have one of your other turn 3 players, or you're not decided to hold up mana for a counter spell, you can go and fetch your Champion of the Perished from the graveyard to your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on Blade Stitch Scab, play the Champion of the Perished, and still have 1 mana left open for a Blood Chief's Thirst or something like that. So that was my thinking there, with the crawl from the cellar. Next up, we've got Tainted Adversary as another 2-drop, which will then again trigger the Champion of the Perished, and it can then be played much later in the game to get lots of zombie tokens with Decayed. Then I'm running 3 copies of Infernal Grasp as a little bit more removal. I'm wondering whether it will be better to run a different one in this deck because we don't have any life gain, whether losing 2 life is going to be very detrimental for this deck or not too much. It depends how quick it ends up being. I would prefer this to be an aggro deck, so I'm going to, of course, like I said, this is version 1 and there's many ways you can build around this. I've omitted so many cards just because I was trying to play some of the new ones, but there's definitely lots of improvement that can be made to this deck. This is, like I said, just a first edition, but we've also got 2 copies of Corpse Cobble. I don't know if that could go up to 3 or whatever, but it's really nice. It says additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice any number of creatures, and then you get to create a XX blue and black zombie creature token with Menace, where X is the total power of the sacrificed creatures. So if they're going to go for a remove all on one of your creatures, you have the chance to sacrifice a few of them, or maybe even during blocking, or you attack with your decayed creatures, the ones that get blocked you Corpse Cobble and make into a bigger zombie for the following turn, or whatever. There's many ways that you can use this card, and I think it's going to be pretty good in this deck, but I'm not sure yet, so I'm only running 2 copies right now, and it'll probably end up going up in my opinion. Then there's Ghoulish Procession, so whenever a non-token creature dies, you create a 2/2 black zombie with Decayed. That happens in both your turn and his turn. So if you get rid of one of his creatures with your Infernal Grasp during his turn, you make a 2/2 zombie token that can then attack when you untap. Puppet Stitcher. This is going to be the one that I'm not, it should be on paper when you read it, the card that makes the whole thing pop. The backside of this says, boop, that creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 3. So they lose Decayed. So all your 2/2 zombie creature tokens become 3/3s, and they no longer have Decayed as long as Puppet Factory is face up. And so it could be the win con, or it could just be just a load of rubbish. And we're going to see if this Puppet Stitcher is worth playing in the zombie deck. And then I thought to myself, we need something with flying, just in case. And this creates a 2/2 black zombie token when it ETBs, and it's a 2/2 flying for 3. It's not amazing stats. That also could easily be trimmed and replaced with something else in a future version 2. Keep your eyes on the channel for those versions, because of course I'm going to be coming at you with them every single day for the rest of the season. I'm going to be trying to figure out which of these tribes works best with each other, which deck is going to be the next best thing, coming out of rotation. Then flip the switch, 4 copies. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 4. You get to create a black zombie creature token with Decayed. So it's just a counter spell, but it makes a zombie. Is it any good? Is it better to just play Sword Coming and not have the thing that makes zombies? We'll find out. Crippling Fear. It's a zombie deck. Tribal. Everything's a zombie except for Puppet, but when you flip it to the opposite side, it becomes a artifact. So you can Crippling Fear and all your zombies stay alive, and you hopefully kill some of their creatures. It's a little bit weak at -3/-3 only. There's probably better cards now, so again, this is just a test. Let's see how it works out. And then on the top end, 2 copies of King Narfi, which gives all our zombies +1/+1. So together with the Bladed Scab, which we can have multiples of on the battlefield, they could get pretty big, these zombies. And then let's not forget that Faceless Haven will become a zombie when it comes into the battlefield. So if you've got Bladed Scab and Narfi, and then you activate a Faceless Haven, it will get buffed as if it was a zombie. And then the only other difference here now that finally in Dimir we get to run Shipwreck Marsh instead of the Snow Tap Land. So in a like more focused snow deck, that might be a problem. The only snow card in this deck is King Narfi, so it's okay that there's a little less of them. And these new lands are just amazing. You know, as long as you have 2 or more other lands in play, they come into play untapped. Sorry, ship enters the battle. Yeah, exactly. So if this is your 3rd land, onwards, it will come into play untapped, which is just insane. That is so good because you know, it's a dual land that you can get in the late game that comes into play untapped. I love this new cycle of lands, and yeah, so there's 4 of in every one of these decks of the relevant color for now. So the main payoffs for playing Snow is really just the Faceless Haven and Narfi in this brew. Right, that's Zombies version 1. Let me know what you think. Next up, Vampires. This one is the one I'm most excited about. I know that there's something here, and I just need to play the deck to see whether that thing is that I need to change what and but I'm going to get to the bottom of this because what I'm talking about here is the first day of class and lots of cheap little vampires. I think there's something there. Okay, I talked about this on stream when we were doing the spoilers. Not only does first day of class give us access to a lesson board, we get to run Crippling Fear again because it's a tribal deck. We're playing Play with Fire and Neonate Rush as our interaction. They're both instant speed spells, as well as first day of class. So I don't want to get too bogged down in describing this one to you because it's a little bit like complicated. But what I'm trying to do is essentially just Vampire Socialite turn 2, turn 3 play first day of class and a Falkenrath Pit Fighter, for example, or turn 4 play first day of class, play with fire, so that triggers the Vampire Socialite, and then you play Slaughter Specialist and a Bloodthirsty Adversary or something like that. I'm not entirely sure yet how this is going to play, but that's why, you know, it's day 1. I'm really, really, really amped to see if I can get this to work. Like having lots of little... Because all of these vampires always say the same thing. Not all of them, the Perforated doesn't, but like here... as long as an opponent lost life this turn. Only if an opponent lost life this turn. I've actually gone for, and of course here, yeah, I mean, okay, now looking at it, I've realized that I've gone for, I've built it wrong. I'm going to just make a new one as soon as I get into the client. But basically, I've put too many things in that do 1 damage to defending player, which then activate all of the things that say, if an opponent lost life this turn, but I've only got like 1 really good payoff for that, which is the Vampire Socialite. This one isn't too good of a payoff, and then the vampires that I have don't actually say that on them, which is really strange because like most of them do. I'm gonna have to probably change this deck around a little bit, probably play a few less. Anyway, I'm already getting ahead of myself, but we are now 14 minutes into the hour before the new set drops. Should be probably the first one I'm going to play is going to be the Zombies, but then the next one I'm going to play is this one. Alright, so that's Vampires with first day of class. And then next and last but not least, and probably the most powerful, is Werewolves. So with Werewolves, I'm playing Light Up the Night as my removal spell. I'm playing Play with Fire as another removal spell, so 3 of each, and then 3 Snakeskin Veils to protect our important werewolves. Then we're running 4 copies of Kessig Naturalist, which is a 2-drop. There's a lot of 2-drops and a lot of 3-drops. It's really hard to really build this, as you can see. My interactions all 1-drops. Then I've got 4 copies of Unnatural Moonrise, which makes it nighttime, and gives a creature trample +1/+0 and draw a card. So good. 4 copies Werewolf Pack Leader, 4 copies Kessig Naturalist, 2 copies Ranger Class. I could probably go down to 3 and 3 and just make it 3/3/3 or something like that, and have 1 extra card to put somewhere else. But let's play it as is for now and see how it goes. Then 3 copies of Tovolar because it's a legendary. 3 copies of Reckless Stormseeker because I think it's going to be really important. 2 copies Primal Adversary, and then 3 copies of Arlen the Pack's Hope. And then top end, 2 copies of Tovolar's Huntmaster. And then lands, I'm just running 2 Den of the Bugbears, 2 Lair of the Hydras, the new land cycle, and the rest normal. No snow lands, nothing like that. I can probably see myself going down to 2 copies of Arlen of Pack's Hope. And like I said, maybe down 1 each of these 2-drops and up 1 Ranger Class, go 3/3/3, and that would leave me with space to run something else. There's another great 3-drop that gives them all trample. There's, I think, lots. That's the cool thing about all these decks so far. It's like I just went for the obvious, like, the edition, but I think there's so many cards that could go in, and figuring out which of those are the best and which strategy that opens up, and then therefore how do you pilot that deck, is going to be what the next couple of weeks are all going to be about, and that makes me super duper excited and I cannot wait. But alright, that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. 3 simple decks just to get your brew juices flowing. Less than an hour to go before the fresh set drops on Arena. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel, because as soon as that happens, I'm going to be cracking packs and brewing decks and playing games. So come and hop on and check that out in the next 45 minutes or so. So thank you, and until then, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.